Hey guys, Harrison1 back at it once again for a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode 17 of Dre Talks. Commentaries where I talk about things that aren't necessarily motorsport related while playing games I don't normally play. This is going to be a difficult one. This is one I had to think long and hard about before I pressed the record button, and it's something I felt like I needed to get out there. And I wasn't going to do this until I saw Modern War Negro's tweets on the matter. And he's a YouTuber who I have a lot of respect for, well I used to anyway, and used to admire, talking about a certain issue. I'll get to that in a minute. But it concerns Michael Sam. Now for those guys that don't know who Michael Sam is a defensive end. He plays for the Michigan Wolverines in the NCAA college football, the tier below the NFL, basically. The amateur athletes play college and then eventually get drafted into the National Football League. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He also became one of college football's first athletes to declare himself as gay. And he now has the possibility of being the first openly gay player in the NFL. And when Modern War Negro found out about this, he tweeted, "I'm totally confused about what a man's sexuality has to do with football. Clown just wants attention, and that's the bottom line. Honestly, what does his love for taking punts in the butt have to do with his punts on the field? Shut up and play football." And very sadly, it kind of you know, riled me up and angered me, because the thing with it is I was just angry and annoyed at the obvious ignorance of this statement, and some things need to be said, quite frankly, and it frustrates me that, you know, in 2014 it's clear that homophobia and ignorance and bigotry is still rife in society, and it frustrates me, because I'm the kind of person that really wants a free and equal world in society, and it is so frustrating. Like people saying that Michael Sam is doing this for the attention. You've got to realise that entering a sport which is as macho as it gets in the NFL is so difficult. He's got very little to gain by declaring himself as gay before he enters the draft. I'd argue he's got much more to lose. You know, I think a lot of draft scouts have already said, you know, he'll poison an NFL locker room, or that, you know, he'll mess up team chemistry, and, you know, he's off my draft board now as a result of this, which is really concerning, more than anything else. And it goes to show you that a lot of these people have an archaic, old-fashioned, old-school, ignorant way of thinking, and it saddens me that it's come to this. And obviously I hope this doesn't affect Michael Sam's draft stock in a good or a bad way. I hope he's drafted purely on his ability to play football, which clearly is there. Like I said, he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, the best defensive player in a conference which is the best in college football. That says a lot right there. And, you know, there's obvious examples that the NFL is a super macho sport and would not be able to tolerate things like this. And the proof of this was in the earlier Richie Incognito Jonathan Martin scandal, which happened earlier in the NFL season, where it turns out Richie Incognito was racist and sent a whole heap of abuse to his teammate Jonathan Martin, and made him pay money to pay for a trip to Vegas he wasn't even a part of. And it brought into play the whole debate about rookie hazing, and you know, doing your part to become a part of the team. You know, you're like carrying the veteran players' bags to the locker room, and it brought forth the debate of, well, how much of it is rookie hazing and how much of it is bullying. And to prove that the NFL is still a macho sport, look at Adam Schefter's posts on ESPN where he's talking about the report that was filed today about this. And the top-rated comments are all along the lines of, who cares? And, oh, Jonathan Martin's a pussy. And, oh, it's just locker room shenanigans. You know, racism would get racism apparently is okay as long as it's part of an NFL locker room. I've never understood that locker room mentality, but the point remains. The NFL is as macho a sport as it gets, where you're expected to be a man. To the point where they almost ignored the fact that bullying has taken place in society. But you're a man, you should be able to stand up for yourself. To which my response is, words can hurt. I was a guy that went through a shitload of abuse in high school till I was 16, 17 years old. Doesn't mean it's okay. And everybody reacts differently to certain things. And you know what? These things can hurt people. And that's sad. But not everybody can be strong all the time. That's how I see it, at least. And that's just with bullying, let alone talking about sexual preference, which is something which goes a lot deeper than mere, locker room shenanigans as people like to make out. Look at examples of a guy like Chris Kluwe, the Minnesota Vikings punter, who wrote a very interesting article on Deadspin talking about how he was cut from the team. And it all seems to go back to an issue where he was a prime supporter of gay marriage. And as a result, the team was telling him to not talk about it and keep it on the hush-hush. And his coaches was giving him a ton of abuse for it, just because he believed in equal rights for equal marriage for people of a, for people who loved someone else of the same gender. Again, disappointing. A lot of working class people, a lot of people are now using the term gay privilege, when clearly they're missing the point, when it should really be all more to do with equality. Because people that come out as gay clearly are going to get abused for it, because they're still part of the vast minority. And that's the ignorant thing about it. I want to share with you a post that a friend of mine, Ollie Dawes, put on Facebook when I mentioned Michael Sam coming out as gay. And he said, and I quote, "I've already seen Sam is off my draft board. Tebow gets criticised for being a devout Christian, but Sam is praised for being gay. I couldn't play with someone if I knew they wanted what was in my pants. He's doing this as a PR stunt. He should have kept this to himself. This does not change who Michael Sam is. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Not Genevieve Clowney, not Connie Ellie, not CJ Mosley or Haha Clinton Dix. He proved he can play. Him being gay does not change that. The idea that all gay men want all men is absurd. Do all men want all women? Do all women want all men? No, the world doesn't work like that. People are afraid and it's time they woke up. Finally, he should not have kept this to himself. This is a huge moment in the history of the NFL. The first active, possibly openly gay player. I do not for 1 second believe that in a league with 1,700-ish players and God knows how many free agents, that Sam is the only gay player. There is no chance. Hopefully his bravery and courage before the most important phase of his career will give players the push to make the same admission and eventually remove the stigma that so that nights like this aren't a huge deal. So happy to see that he has done this. And I think Ollie is absolutely right. We live in a world where people are afraid of things that don't fit the status quo or don't fit the norm. And that's very saddening more than anything else. And he's absolutely right. I remember seeing when the retired footballer Thomas Hitzlsperger, known as the Hammer, played for Everton and played for Aston Villa, came out as gay after he retired. And some of the comments on the Match of the Day post talking about this are awful. Like saying, a lot of them were saying, fair play for coming out and things like that. But I also saw comments along the lines of, bet Tom enjoyed the touch of Gary. Or, no thanks. Or, things like that. Just generally, just generally homophobic and really ignorant comments. I'll put a link to the description if you want to see it. But the comment I made on the post was, half of the ignorant comments on this very post is exactly why the reason this interview needs to happen. It shouldn't be news, but the backwards, archaic talking of many a football fan holds people like Thomas back from unfair criticism and labelling. And it's absolutely true, in my opinion at least, that Michael Sam has clearly exposed, and many people have already known this, but they've already exposed that we still have a very backwards culture when it comes when it comes to being gay, and when it comes to being homosexual in society today, especially when it comes to sports. People saying it's attention seeking. People also have to realise on top of that attention comes with being an elite athlete in any sport. It's a part of the job, and there's no way of really avoiding that. And that's just the reality of the situation. Look at Sochi 2014, the Winter Olympics that has taken place right now. We have 6 openly gay athletes in that, taking place at the Winter Olympics in a city where their own government thinks that there is no gay people in Sochi. And that when rape victims go to the Russian police asking for a case and they find out that they're a lesbian, they get turned away. Where it's illegal to promote homosexuality. What? This is happening right now in one of the biggest sporting events on the planet. Like I said, this and Michael Sam is just exposing 2 things. It's exposing the bravery and courage of someone being able to be happy and accept who they are in society today. But it's also kind of showing how far we've really got to go, especially in the NFL, where people that commit crimes all the time, to a degree, are, they get away with it. Like people like domestic violence, getting dragged up the stairs, dragging your woman up and down the stairs. 4th overall pick, Ben Roethlisberger accused of raping a woman, but apparently paid them off to keep him out of court. Where crimes take place almost on a weekly basis involving NFL players, where Aaron Hernandez last year was sent to prison for murder. But loving a man? No, can't have that. It's ridiculous how backwards thinking and how backwards our society is these days to things like this. And it's really saddening that, that situations like this is almost kind of showing how far we have to go. And you know what? Props to guys like Michael Sam, props to guys like Thomas Hitzlsperger, props to guys like Jason Collins, who last year became the first player in any 4 of the major American sports, baseball, basketball, football and hockey, to say he was gay, and said he was proud to at least open the conversation. Because the conversation is what needs to start happening now, so people can open their eyes and realise that the world has changed. As a human race, we've evolved beyond the point of this archaic thinking that the only right way to love is with a man and a woman, because that's clearly not the case anymore, and that's wrong. To end the video, I will give you a quote from Audre Lorde, the poet, and it's a fantastic quote, which I think sums this up so well, and I think it sums it up quite nicely. And it is not our differences that divide us, it is our inability to recognise, accept and celebrate those differences that divide us. And maybe when we start accepting, embracing people of different cultures, people of different sexual preferences, of any race and skin colour, that we as a human race can move forward and live in peace and harmony rather than anything else. Now, I know this is really deep for me. I don't normally talk about things like this on video, but the reason I'm saying this is because I'm blessed enough to have an opportunity to be able to broadcast things like this to a audience of hundreds and possibly thousands of people, and I want to channel some good out there more than anything else. And I just hope you guys appreciate the video, and if you got something out of it, leave me a thumbs up. If you didn't, let me know why. Again, I'm always open to different points of view, as long as they're intelligent and well thought out. But in the meantime, I've been Harrison101, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys later. Sayonara.